everyone, and welcome to today's edition. I am your anchor, Blessing Dollar, broadcasting live from the OLDN TV studios. And with me today is an amazing person. He is a coach as well as an OD practitioner. Hello, Sir Paul Crick, and thank you very much for joining today's session. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Blessing. I'm very well, thank you.
Great. So I consider you a very busy person. So without wasting much time, I actually have drafted some few questions I would like to ask you.
Sure.
Without any further ado, the first question is, could you briefly tell us about yourself, that career-wise?
Okay, so my original training was in marketing. I spent time at college learning marketing. I went to work in a bank and a software house. And whilst I was there, I learned about how to do information engineering, so how to organize and create logical designs for databases. Little did I know that actually was going to serve me really well across my whole career. I then went and worked for an organization called Equifax. I worked in their marketing services business, and I helped to run their database marketing team. We looked after clients doing direct mail, as it was then. Excuse me. Helping them use data to make money effectively. I did that for a while. Then I did an MBA at Henley Business School in the UK, and that meant I could then move into the world of management consulting. So I then had an 18-year career working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, for Capgemini, and for IBM. I did IBM twice. I left in 2005. And then I went back in 2013. And now I'm running my own leadership development organization. I work with profit for purpose organizations to help individuals and team lead with more courage so that they can accelerate profit growth to have greater impact and reach in terms of what they're trying to do in helping solve some of the planet's more difficult problems.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that brief introduction. Thank God you run your own institution on leadership. So first of all, leadership is a very short word, yet so many definitions, so many interpretations, diverse representation of leadership. Now, in your opinion and based on the observations you've got, what do you think exactly is leadership?
I think that's a really good question, and I think it's been dressed up in far too many ways. And my explanation is a simple one, and it's based on a definition by an American management consultant called Warren Bennis. And he said that leadership is about becoming yourself. It's as simple and as difficult as that. And I think leadership is about the quality of relationship you have with yourself first. The better the quality of relationship you have with yourself, then the better you can lead yourself. Do you do the right things when nobody's looking? Do you have enough self-discipline to do what's important in terms of looking after your health, looking after your emotional well-being, so that you then have an ability to relate to other people? Leadership is a contact sport that requires you to relate to others, to speak with others. And if the quality of the relationship you have with yourself isn't good, then how can the quality of the relationship you have with other people also be good? It's kind of like, it's like when you fly on an airplane and just before you take off, you get the safety demonstration, and the steward or the stewardess in the air cabin will say, now in the event of an emergency, oxygen masks may fall from above you. And it's important to put your own oxygen mask on first before you try and help someone else. And that's what leadership is, really. It's about putting your own oxygen mask on. I did a training earlier this year, and someone had a really beautiful way of expressing what leadership was. They said it's about waking up, growing up, cleaning up, and showing up. And we're all at different places. That's my view of leadership. It's a lot more ordinary and natural than a lot of people would have you believe. It has a lot more labels that are absolutely necessary. And as I say, I personally think it's about the quality of the relationship you have with yourself first.
Wow, great. Now, talking of relationship, let's just diverse a little bit. Still in the line of relationship, OD is a very strategic pillar in every institution or entity. As such, in the line of implementing a new positive change in an organization, there is often resistance. How then do you handle resistance in an organization?
I think in today's climate, particularly today, change is very, very different than it was prior to COVID um, taking center stage. So, a colleague of mine was relating a story about our UK National Health Service, which traditionally has not necessarily been the fastest organisation to change. And this person was fairly senior in their role, and they said, we've achieved more change in 3 weeks than we would have done in 10 years. They did more. So I think change is driven by why. And I think part of the problem is that there's not enough communication around why we're changing. And I think particularly as the younger generation has entered the workforce, they want to understand more and more, why are we changing? I know what you want to change, but why are we doing it? Because sometimes when you're looking at what people are saying, you're saying, well, why are we doing this? And if you don't understand this, then it's a bit difficult for people to buy into, well, why should I buy into this? Um, as creatures, we tend to be somewhat selfish in our outlook at times, and we want to know what's in it for us. So if I change, how does that? What does that mean for me? What difficulties does that create? How uncomfortable will it be for me to change the way I do a specific set of tasks? Maybe I change processes. Maybe I attend different meetings. Maybe I interact with other people. And you've only to look at how we've all gone remote, more or less quickly, very quickly in the last 6 months, where the majority of communication is happening remotely. So I think the first step is to explain why. I think the second step is then to shut up and listen. I think it's really important that people feel heard. And I think in organizations today, there isn't enough patience or time given over to listening to people's concerns. Some people may say, oh, well, we've told you all this before, and it didn't work. Why is it going to work now? You didn't listen to us then, you're not listening. Why should we believe that you're going to listen now? And I think you have to communicate and demonstrate clearly and demonstrate visibly to show people, put something on a wall, do something. I heard a really good interview today that says, if you're going to change something, make it visible. So paint a wall and write on it and say, and demonstrate that something is going to change, and do it quickly. I think then you've got to allow people to have conversations that explore why, to explore their concerns. And I think there then comes a point where people either commit and they say, okay, I understand why. I understand you've listened to me and I actually feel that I have been heard, but I disagree with your why and I don't want to be part of this. And that's the third step really, is to then for a business or an organization to say, that's okay. Because you'd rather have someone in the boat rowing with you rather than someone in the boat with a drill drilling holes in the bottom of the boat as everyone else is rowing.
Mhm.
And so it would be better to invite that person to leave, but to help them leave in a way that's constructive, in a way that doesn't shame them. It's just they have different values. Other things are more important to them. And therefore that should be allowed. It's kind of like, again, another idea I heard from a colleague of mine that said, if someone wants to lead, they should be given the opportunity to lead for 12 months. And then if at the end of it, they didn't do well or they actually don't like it, then they should be given the opportunity to go back to where they came from. Leaders usually are experts in the field. They're invited to come and lead. their talent, because of their hard work, but usually because of their expertise. But as we all know, when you step into a leadership role, a whole set of different responsibilities and behaviors and capabilities are needed. And therefore, not everybody is suited to it. When you start managing people, it's a different skill set, and it takes a lot of energy, and that may not be for some people. So an organization needs to have the room to allow for changes like that to happen. That was a long answer. Sorry.
Wow, no, it was amazing. I wish actually you had extended a little. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Doug. I'm gonna ask you the next question, but could you just enlighten me more what you mean, make it visible?
So in order to make something visible, what I mean is show people, demonstrate something. So if I want to make something visible to you, here's my glasses case. You can see this. You can see it's green. Whereas if I just tell you I have a glasses case, you can't see it. You don't know, do you? So you need to be able, most of us believe what we see. The expression, certainly in English, is seeing is believing. So show me that it's real. Don't just tell me it's real. And therefore, sometimes doing something very visible that says, I'm going to paint this wall a color. And that's because this is now the change wall. And the change wall is where you can write ideas on that wall. It's for you. And if you've got a wall that's sort of 7 feet tall and, I don't know, 9 feet wide, you can't miss it. You can see it. And that's what I mean.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for that light. Now, actually, I did a bit of a rundown, and I saw an interesting post on your tweet, which actually, that was on the 1st of September, Manager's Guide to Inclusive Leadership. Would you like to share that with us, please?
Yes, I would. I mean, the point of being inclusive, I'm just going to go back to the tweet. The point of being inclusive is leadership is very much like the assumption, the old assumption is that because I'm the highest paid, because I have a certain title, then I'm expected to know what's in the, I'm expected to be the one with the knowledge. And I don't actually believe that we have time or room for that anymore. Some of the, I have an expression when I run workshops with clients, which is simply the fact that the answer is always in the room. It just may not necessarily come from the person that you expect it to. So if you don't ask people their opinions, or you don't ask people for their ideas, then how are you going to do that? So we need to make some small changes about how we behave. And if we change our behavior 1% every day, 365 days in a year, that increases our ability to perform by 37% in a whole year. A 37% level of performance, and that's just for one person. So imagine, I do martial arts, I do Aikido, and we say to our students, just do one thing better tomorrow. Only has to be, so if it's one push-up, if it's one jump, that's okay. Just do one. And then the next day, do one more. So that on day one, you do one. On day two, you do two. On day three, you do three. And by the end of the year, guess what? You're doing 365 more than you were. And it's very, very simple. Now, it's never a straight line as that, but the principle is to think that way and say, am I performing better than I did yesterday? And the only person I'm competing against is me. I'm not competing against you. I'm not competing against the person with a similar job title. I'm just competing against me. And this is about the quality of the relationship you have with yourself. Are you willing to raise the bar just that little bit extra for yourself? And if so, how are you doing that? Because when you do that, that's when you change the quality of the relationship you have with yourself.
Wow, thank you very much. That was so refreshing. Actually, You know, actually, I watched one of your videos on YouTube, and you spoke of next level leadership and a return to self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw. Okay. Now, theoretically, we know of the autocratic leader, we know of a laissez-faire leader, and a democratic leader. Um, with your knowledge, how can I say this? Is this actually in alignment with what you're talking of, like the kinds of leaders that exist theoretically, and what you actually said in your video? Is it actually in alignment or with something different?
I think the problem with leadership is the label. Everything is labeled. You know, it's like saying, I have a car. I can have a red car, a green car, a blue car, a black car, a white car, or a silver car, but they're all cars. And in that particular talk, I was concentrating on this idea, well, three principles of leadership, but the idea that we wait for other people to lead us. A lot of sit around and they say, oh, well, it's the government's fault. It's Russia's fault. It's somebody's fault, somebody else's fault that something's wrong, that something's not right. And the purpose of the talk was to say, look, we can all choose to lead. And it doesn't have to be a big organization. It doesn't have to be a government. It can be as simple as getting out of bed on the day that you don't want to go to work. And that's what I was trying to say, is that leadership is something that's very, very natural. And we've blown it up to be something that it's not. And yet globally, we will spend $385 billion on leadership development. And if you look around in the world today, would you say it's working with the leaders that we have? That the leaders we have aren't the leaders we want. But when we let other people lead and they fail, we just go, oh, well, it was them, it wasn't us. And yet the truth is it's us, because we have an opportunity to step up in whatever small way, by just a small bit. By being in the street and picking up a can that somebody's dropped and recycling it. You know, that's very small, but it's making a difference. So the point of the talk was, everyone can lead. Everybody does it naturally. And I suggested three principles. The first I called a rising tide lifts all boats. That means that if you try to help everyone you meet, and everybody who meets you tries to help you, then we all help each other. If I try to harm you in some way, or I compete with you in a way that means you don't have but I do have, then that doesn't help everyone. So a rising tide lifts all boats is the first principle. The second principle is this idea of raising the bar, this little incremental, improve by 1% a day, and to measure it and just simply say, wherever I am today, maybe, so years ago, I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. I used to smoke 40 cigarettes a day. Now I haven't smoked for 20 years. I used to weigh 50 pounds more than I do now. Now, you don't do that overnight. That happens by doing little bits, and you start where you are. The idea is you build people around you that support you and encourage you, even when you can't see change. I was taught a long time ago, to see past the broken fence, to see the potential of someone, even though it may not be there right now, and encourage them so that they become that. Heard the story of Michelangelo, the artist, and he says, when I get a block of marble, I already see the sculpture inside the marble. I just have to chip the marble away to make it come forth. And leadership's very much like that. And then the last thing is the difference between accomplishment and achievement. Now, if I climbed a tall mountain like Kilimanjaro, or I climbed Everest, that's a big achievement. That's a big thing to do. It takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of skill, a lot of fitness, and a desire to do it. And it's a great achievement. If I win a gold medal at the Olympics in one of the events, That's an amazing achievement. You know, that's dedication. That's getting up at 5 in the morning every day, rain, shine, or cold or hot, and training to do that. But it's only an achievement. But it isn't until I tell you that you can do the same thing because I achieved it and I show you how to do it, that you start to believe that you can do it. And that's accomplishment. Accomplishment is when you take an achievement and you inspire others to be much more than they ever thought they could be. And that's what I mean by next level leadership. Now it's just a label, but we're all capable of it. That's the point. And I don't want us to believe that, you know, it's governments or politicians or, you know, this person or that person that is special. They're just further down the path than we are. What we have to do is stand up and say, right, I'm going to walk my path.
Wow. Wow, that's quite a lot of knowledge right there. I'm just curious though, have you written any books yet? And
I am writing one as we go.
okay, amazing. I actually so, but some of the few articles you have, are they reachable now, or it's
if you follow me on my LinkedIn profile, you'll see I put posts. The posts are also on my blog on my website, which is theelevatepartnership.com. And they're just little snippets of thought that the purpose of the post is really to try and get people to think and to think differently, to think that they are capable and not to assume that what they're told is necessarily true for them. It might be. The point is, question it.
okay. That's quite great. Something that has been on my mind for quite a while now. Organization development has been listed by the World Economic Forum as one of the 10 emerging skills by 2020. In your opinion, what makes OD a strategic and operational imperative for current professionals?
Well, organizational development, what does that really mean? That really means, how do we bring people together to relate with each other? So it goes back to this idea of relationship. And organizational development traditionally has all been about organizational charts. Yeah, who's at the top of the charts and who reports to them and how's that organized and how do we do that? And I think organizational charts have gone now in the era of business agility, in the era of entrepreneurship, where entrepreneurs are able to move much more quickly. Then I'm not saying organizational development doesn't have a place, because when you get to a certain size, it does matter. You have to organize people, but it needs to be built on some really important principles. And one of the important principles is the understanding that people will only work in an environment that is psychologically safe for them to do so. So Google have proven this with their research that says, you know, psychological safety. But what does that really mean? Well, that means that it's safe to fight. So, you know, when you fight with your brothers and sisters and your family at the dinner table as to who's going to have the last potato, that's safe and it's fun and it's okay. You don't do it in public, but it's okay to have different points of view and explore that, because a team is not a group of people that works together. A team is a group of people that trust each other, that says, I know that when you say you're going to do what you're going to do, you're going to do it. I know that you have my back. I know that we're not trying to mislead anyone financially or our customers or any of our suppliers. I have that trust in my heart so that I can bring my whole self to work. I'm willing to do that. And you accept me for who and what I am, whether I'm male, I'm female, whatever, you know, whatever my background is in terms of my ethnicity, that doesn't come into play. What matters is you see me as a whole person, you accept me as a whole person, and I feel heard, and I feel I am doing something meaningful. And I think when organizational development starts to tune into that more and thinks about that, then its job will become a lot easier. Its job will become even more relevant as we move beyond what has been a difficult year in 2020.
Mm, wow. Thank you so much, sir. You are a man of a lot of wisdom. You know, maybe your mom would have named you Solomon. Means
I'm not sure about that. I think I annoy. I think my mum used to call me "Stop It" for about 10 years. Uh,
that was great, but you're a man of a lot of wisdom. That was great
that's
wisdom
very
right
kind of you to say. It's been hard earned, I promise you.
there. Wow, I'm actually honored. So, not to keep you much longer, I have just one more last question, please.
Sure.
What are some of the key skills for the future, and what advice can you give to emerging OD and leadership professionals?
The advice is simple: build a better relationship with yourself. Um, Learn to accept yourself. Sometimes accepting yourself is not easy, but if a lot of us do two jobs in the work environment. We do the job that our job description says we should do, and then the job we do that says, aren't I great? We posture, we protect our budgets, we protect our team. We go, well, that's mine, it's not yours. And we try to beat everyone and everything to succeed at all costs. I personally think the days of succeeding at all costs have gone. We need to switch from scarcity to abundance. There is enough in the world for everyone, in my humble opinion.
Sure.
We need to learn to do that, and that's a hard skill, um, because people are naturally selfish and naturally self-interested. I am, I get that. I'm not saying, oh, aren't I a saint? I'm not. But I think that's important. I think accepting, and by it, you have to accept yourself first. You have to accept others, so for who they are and what they are and how they are, and accept that they're different, and then accept the system that you operate in. So you might choose to say, I don't want to work in a world where there's money anymore. Let's get rid of money. Now, if it was that easy, we'd have done it a long time ago. But it's so complicated and so interrelated and so complex. You have to then say, okay, well, I can either fight that, or I can accept that we have a system based on money. How do I help to make that work better so that we are more inclusive in our society? We make sure that people don't go hungry. We make sure that our food supply is protected, water supply is protected, so that everybody has access to that, because that's a basic human right. And we still don't live in a world where that is accepted as, we should be working towards that, and that's leadership. So acceptance of self. I then think we need to think hard. Leadership is all about helping other people grow into who they can be, whatever that is. If you want to be a teacher and you love teaching, let's help you be a teacher. Let's not say, here's the 5 things wrong with you that you need to work on. That doesn't make sense. It's like, focus on your strengths and forget about that. The world's most famous football player, certainly in Europe, is Messi. Mm-hmm. And Messi has a problem. He is a left-footed player. If you look at most of his play, most of his goals, most of how he moves on the field, he is left foot dominant. Now, as a coach, you're going to walk in and go, Messi, my friend, you're a great football player, but do you think you could use the right foot a bit more? I don't think so. I think it's looking at him and saying, how can we help him excel? And where does it make sense to help him become more rounded? So I think we need to do that. I think we need to understand our bodies better. We need to understand emotion better. We need to understand that our brain is not programmed to make us happy. Our brain is programmed to keep us alive. And that's why we behave the way we behave sometimes. And we need to teach this, because people don't understand it. People don't understand that some emotions are uncomfortable in our bodies, and actually that's okay. What we do is we drink, we smoke, we work too hard, we do something else, that distracts us from this thing that's going on, instead of sitting with it and going, and being curious and going, oh, that's interesting. What is that? And what can I do differently? Because for the most part, using your body will change that. So we need to have the role of body. You know, our mind doesn't just exist between our ears. Mind is energy and information within us, and energy and information between us. And I firmly believe that we need to teach people this, because the world will be a more peaceful place when it is, and we will all get along better. I could go on for a long time, but I'm conscious of your time, so I'll pause there as my first answer.
Wow, thank you very much, Sir Paul Crick. I mentioned that that was the last question, but something came to my mind. The viewers, what if someone wants to enroll at your leadership institution? Is there a link? Is there a possibility, a way to get in touch with you or your institution?
Find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Same. So you'll find me, Paul Crick, CRICK, on LinkedIn. Drop me a message, and I'll see if I can help you. So I run group coaching, I run individual coaching, and I run team coaching, and I can do all of that remote. If people like what they've heard and they'd like to work with me, then please do get in touch. If people have got a question, please get in touch. You're very welcome.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today. Oh, I'm sorry. Along the line, we got I got a bit of a technical fault. There was a bit of a technical an internet seized on the other side, so I had to shift to where there is internet flow. I'm sorry about the inconveniences. If I had caused it.
You handled it flawlessly. You were brilliant.
Thank you very much, sir. Oh, Lord, I am so honored to have you. Whenever your book is out, I'm sure it will be a great honor to interview you about the book and make could be could assist in publicizing the book as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much, Sir Paul. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Once again with me today is Mr. Paul Crick, and I am your anchor, Blessing Dolo, broadcasting live from the OLDN TV studios. And if you're watching us on Facebook, please make sure you follow our page. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and press the notification bell. So whenever we upload a video, you're the very first to see a video. And if you would like to enroll for the leadership program with Sir Paul Crick, please visit him on LinkedIn and send him a message, same name, Paul Crick. It will be attached in this video. Thank you once again, and stay tuned in for the next edition. Thank you, Sir Paul, for joining, and see you some other time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.